Hello, Meoni here, and welcome back to another news video, or rather, a bit of a discussion video talking about this. So this pretty interesting little slate appeared on social media last night, and it took a while for me to get time to record this because of the Make It Rain event, but I thought this was worth talking about. And this is all about the Bosnian Southern Front. So if you're unfamiliar with the Bosnian Southern Front, essentially there is a thing called Castrum Lacus Litore, which is this big critical engagement on the top of the hill that happens fairly irregularly. Sometimes you can spawn into a new instance and it can take anywhere from 10 minutes to 3 hours or something to appear, something like that. Or maybe that's an exaggeration, but essentially there are a few issues that have been slightly addressed with this notification, so I'll read it to you. It says, "Thank you all for your feedback on the Bosnian Southern Front. We are aware of the difficulty that players have had in gathering for Castrum Lacus Litore, and we have made this our most urgent issue to address. As a temporary measure, we will be changing the recruitment time from 1 minute to 6 minutes through a hotfix in the near future, while we work on a more fundamental long-term solution. We have also been carefully reviewing your wider opinions on the Bosnian Southern Front, so your continued feedback is much appreciated." So this then in relation to the fact that if you're trying to do Castrum and there's a few critical engagements popping up on screen at the same time, people will queue in for those engagements and they'll pretty much be locked in there. They'll be mid-fight or something, and what happens is Castrum actually pops, the thing that you've been waiting for all of that time, and instead of being able to just go, oh, I'll just finish this fight and join the actual Castrum critical engagement, people have been forced to pretty much leave what they're doing, or deliberately try and wipe it up, and it's caused a few issues. Or if they haven't deliberately wiped it up, it's been wiped because of people trying to wipe it up so they can get into the Castrum. 1 minute was not long enough, obviously, and if you're in the middle of an engagement, unless you can just get out of there, then it's you just can't do it. So it's really difficult to actually require to get the required amount of people for that. It's a 48 player instance. You can do it with about 28, I think, something about that. That's the smallest group that I've seen that's had great success in there, but 48 people, right? So you want as close to that sweet spot as possible. What you don't want to see is 5 people in there, which is what's been happening. So changing that from 1 minute of a recruitment time to 6 minutes is actually enormous. 6 minutes gives you, well, even so, it's not quite as much as I would have liked, but 6 minutes does give you enough time to perhaps finish off some of the things you're doing more efficiently to actually have time to queue in for that. It's still, 6 minutes is not going to be the best thing in the universe for some of the critical engagements, unless you're coming towards the end of a fight, you know what I mean? If you queue in for something still, a critical engagement, you're still going to have the issue of probably cursing the fact you just queued in. So unless you can kill something in 6 minutes, which isn't always possible, especially with something like the Red Chocobo Fate, then, you're still going to be having an issue there. But it is a massive improvement. And in terms of this being a hotfix, is a relatively positive thing to look forward to in the future. When this will happen is anyone's guess, but I would probably imagine with a reset sometime in the coming week, probably on reset day on Tuesday or something like that. Apparently they're talking about reading lots of wider opinions on the Bosnian Southern Front and the feedback. This is something they didn't necessarily do with Eureka the previous time in Stormblood. They took on board some of the feedback, but they weren't quite as responsive, let's say, I think, than they are this time, at least not as publicly vocal about changes they wanted to make. So it's really nice to see this on social media, and it really does mean then that they are actively looking at the forums and Reddit, obviously, and all the feedback that you're giving them. So keep giving them positive feedback, giving them critical analysis of what would make the experience better for you, and if enough people back that idea, maybe Square Enix will take notice. This is a collaborative effort, and it does make the content much better as we go forward, so we don't slip into problems that happened in the past, right, with Eureka. There are many things they could have done to future-proof Eureka, for example, that they are doing this time based on the feedback we've given from then. So we need to try and make this the best piece of content it possibly can be. I personally really am enjoying Castrum Lacus Litore. It's one of the few things that I've really, really enjoyed. I wasn't sure that I would enjoy it personally, so to have the availability to actually queue into it for more time and have a better chance of getting 48 people in there, rather than, oh, everyone's in another fate, there's no way they're going to do clear that and come out within a minute, is a really good thing for me, because I need lots of clears for all of that armor for future video making. Anyway, let me know what you think about this, what you think about them listening and posting this on social media. I personally think it's a great step in the right direction, and I hope they continue to be as vocal as this. Let me know below, and I'll see you all next time.